Right, exactly.
And so, but the problem is we're like, when you have none detected of your
Yes.
active ingredients,
Yes.
that's a problem.
A big problem.
And we see a lot of that. It's just nobody, again, everyone wants to put it under the rug because it's like, because it's the same thing that I saw happen with the psychedelic space, is that everyone wants to be like, yeah, psychedelics are amazing, they help everybody. And it's like, no, they don't. There's people who have mental collapse.
Adverse reactions from them. Yeah.
You know? And so those people get, anybody who's in that tribe and anybody who has an adverse response to what they're presenting, they get like, they're like, no,
push
no,
to the side.
Push to the side. So it happens with psychedelics, it happens with pharmaceutical drugs, it happens with wellness, it happens in every space. And that's unfair because those people, you know, have a real problem. I have a friend who is essentially just unintentionally, but he became a de facto counselor to people who had mental collapses when in ayahuasca ceremonies.
Wow.
And this isn't a rare thing. This happens
regularly.
I mean, just
just don't hear about it.
It just, again,
pushed under the rug.
You shut those people up because we're trying to make this thing popular.
Yes.
And if you have a platform to talk about how that affected you negatively, then it's going to collapse what we're trying to do over here. And again, we see that in everything.
Yes,
right?
We do.
So that's what the tribal thinking has done to our society. Is like, we can't acknowledge the truth in its wholeness anymore.
Full transparency, bad or good.
Yeah, and everyone claims they're fully transparent.
Right.
But in the end of the day, they're not.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like one of the things that I've been doing in the work that I'm doing is trying to be just really transparent and honest about what works, what doesn't, work with other people who believe in that level of integrity. And they do exist.
Right.
So it's not like I'm alone in this. I have a community. I work with 100 different brands. We have, you know, coming to our event, you know, we have like 40, 50 speakers. So it's like who are world class in their fields. So there's a lot of people doing it. Again, you just need to be in a curated community that's looking at these things.
I love that. How did HealthSpan manifest?
So, I mean, I started HealthSpan Productions 3 years ago because I was ultimately looking for exactly what I just described. A community that was evidence-based, that was bringing together speakers and brands and thought leaders and podcasters and, you know, all of the people, because you have good influencers and you have influencers that are just care about money, right?
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, well, I would meet both kinds. But I realized when I would go talk to the general public, they had no idea who was who.
Right.
I would go to these conferences, these health conferences, and you would have somebody with a product that this is literally true, a product that they spent 15 years researching in a lab before they released the supplement onto the market. 15 years of research behind this, like multiple studies, release it onto the market. And I'd go to a conference and they would be there with the most evidence-based solution I'd ever heard of in my life. And right next to them would be that guy who bought bulk supplements from China and put them in capsules and was selling them at the same show. And they were next to each other in the same booth at the same place. And I was like,
something's got to give.
I can't, they say the business you start is the thing that like drives you crazy. And so that was what was driving me crazy.
Yes.
Is like, there was nobody who was separating the wheat from the chaff.
Right.
So I started 2 companies because I looked for somebody else who was going to do it, and I didn't find it. And so my other company, which you haven't really talked about, is called Proven Research, where we do the clinical validation of wellness and longevity products, you know, and we try to separate the wheat from the chaff, like what's real from what's not.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Like some of these products that are out there on the market are incredibly effective. I mean, sometimes the brands, to be transparent, like they don't even realize how effective it is because they haven't had the resources to do that type of research.
And why do you think that is?
Well, because in the past, I mean, to bring a pharmaceutical drug to market can cost somewhere between $750 and $1 billion.
Billions,
$750 million to $1 billion.
Right.
And take 6 to 10 years.
Wow. That's insane.
So, but the world is moving too fast now.
Yes.
Like that model I've even been in pharmaceutical conferences where the CEOs of the pharmaceutical companies who are, you know, admit that,
Right.
that's not a sustainable business model. Because what the market wants today, 10 years from now, what's the point?
True.
6 years from now? Like right now that GLP-1s have exploded.
Really hit the market, yeah.
And people realize, wow, these not only do they help with weight loss, but they reduce inflammation.
Right.
They regulate mood. They
Right.
regulate even neurocognitive components. Like there's so much that we're seeing. I mentioned Dr. Seeds earlier. I mean, he wrote a book on this that people want to get it and talks all about the power, the magic almost of these compounds.
Right.
Now everybody's like, okay, well, when are the rest of the peptides coming on to the market for us? And so we're in that moment where we know a lot of these peptides are very effective,
Yes.
but there's no regulatory framework. These could be generic products that everybody could have access to,
Right.
but that is a regulatory decision.
Right.
And of course, the pharmaceutical industry would rather they become compounds that are very specific. But if you think about it, look at GLP-1s. Originally, it was for treating diabetes. But now we're realizing that the people who benefit the most are maybe the pre-diabetics to
Right.
prevent them from being
prevent.
diabetic. So that's the thing.
preventative.
So that's the key to me.
Yes.
So the key is personalized, preventative, proven treatments. The 3 Ps.
Yes.
And we have those, right? We have those, but you need to differentiate what they
Right.
are. And that's what we do at the HealthSpan Summit. We curate, there's a lot of diagnostic testing. We have VO2 max testing. We're doing skin testing.
Oh, wow.
We're doing genetic testing,
Okay.
microbiome testing. So I am big on that biological optimization piece where you got to follow the scientific method.
Right.
To me, that's what biohacking was supposed to be.
Right.
But biohacking got degraded. It became filled with pseudoscience and cults of personality.
Right. It's very interesting.
And true biohacking is N of 1 science.
Okay.
Are you familiar with what that means?
No, do you want to educate us on that?
So N of 1. So N in a study, you have an N number. So
Correct.
they say there's like 100 people in the study.
Right.
That's your N. So across a cohort of 100 people, we saw a 44% increase in X because they took Y, right?
Okay.
So that's a study.
Okay.
And N of 1 means you are a bio-individual. So I thrive on the keto diet. Maybe you're better off eating more fruit than I can handle. Maybe you're fine with rice and potatoes and I'm not.
Got it.
So the N of 1 is the right nutritional program for you is not the right one for me. But nobody else is going to give that to you unless you have $100,000 a year to join.
Like we were talking about
Yeah.
in the very beginning.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you can have a functional medicine physician
Yes.
who monitors your every marker. You can
Right.
go full Brian Johnson. You
Right,
don't have
right.
a team of
Yes.
50
Oh, man, Brian Johnson,
analysts. I mean, I interviewed him.
Is he the one that brought this to the forefront? Is he the OG of biohacking?
No, he
Okay.
became the most famous biohacker very quickly. Actually, biohacking had its origins way back in the Silicon Valley community.
Okay.
When in the early days, because all these coders, it was actually started
Leave
by
it to
something.
the tech.
It was all the tech bros.
Yeah.
It started with
Yes.
the tech bros.
Yeah.
And it started as a movement called quantified self.
Okay.
So it was this idea that because they were hacking, right?
Right.
That's what the term
Right.
comes from,
Yes.
hacking. So bio, right, is from the Greek meaning life. And it's an ancient word, right? Biology, biological,
Yes.
bioscience,
Yes.
all these things have
Right.
the root of that Greek origin. And then hacking did not appear until the 70s until
Okay.
computers.
Okay.
And it's the idea that if I understand a system and I can hack that system, I can change the outcome. I can change what the system does.
Right.
And so the tech bros realized, oh, well, if I can hack a computer,
Combining
I can hack
the
a
two.
human.
Yes.
And so they started applying those principles. And I think, though, what was missed is we are not hackable machines.
Right.
And we're way more complex. And so
Yes.
we even see this. I mean, everybody has experienced this.
Yes.
If you take a pharmaceutical drug, you can improve the outcome that drug is activating.
Right.
But there's other things that could happen. So you could be taking Advil for pain, but then you have gut problems.
Gut problems.
You could then take something to help you with your gut problems, but then it stops you from sleeping, right?
Yes,
So it's
yes.
like then you're chasing
Yes,
hacks
yes.
to hack the thing you hacked.
Correct.
And that's true for pharmaceutical drugs, but it's also true for a lot of the other hacks that people are doing. Now, that's not true for a lot of them. A lot of them you can do, like I talked about circadian rhythm, right? So our bodies are aligned. That light is a source of information.
Right.
So a lot of people may be familiar with red light therapy devices, right?
That's a big thing now.
Yeah, photobiomodulation is the technical term.
Right.
That works.
Yes.
I've tested it. I've seen it. My co-founder at Proven did multiple studies with photobiomodulation.
Okay.
Light therapy, highly effective for most people.
I love that. I'm really big into light therapy.
Very low negative outcomes. Very few adverse events from this because the body, the cells react to that information.
Correct.
And they go, oh, this is light. It's telling me to do something. And the cells react.
It's like a recharge.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, one of the things is, and I'll take this from Dr. Seeds. He says, well, but why are you doing it? He always asks, why are you doing it? Like, make sure that there's a reason.
So it has to be intentional.
Yeah. Like, so if you're just doing the thing because you saw it on TikTok, it may not be, like, you may actually be doing nothing or potentially even doing damage because the best thing you want to do is optimizing the natural order of the body.
Yes.
So if the body needs support, give it support.
Yes.
But if you're taking 200 supplements because you just, followed all these different TikTokers.
That's what all these influencers are doing, so you jump on the train. Yeah.
I mean, you don't know why. Go get your blood labs done.
Right.
That's the N
blood
of one.
Blood type's got a big deal to do with it, correct?
Well, it's funny. The eat right for your type.
Yes. How do you feel about that?
That was something that I read, when I was back in my early days. I mean, it's a very old book. It's surprisingly accurate, I think.
I've heard it is.
It's surprising, but it's because it's about genetic predispositions.
Yes.
So if your blood type is, say, for example, trace back to a Paleolithic style, then you tend to do better on a Paleolithic diet.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, and it's so that's the thing coming back. Like if I was of Inuit descent and I move now to Costa Rica and try to live off pineapple, I might be able to pull it off. But my genetics are I'm almost fighting my genetics, right?
Yes.
Because I'm so far removed from what my natural genetic predisposition was. And so there's a genetic component, there's an environmental component, there's an individual uniqueness, like there's all of these things to measure.
Wow. Yeah, no, I've been having some random health issues myself. But Next Health has been so amazing and so eye-opening, and the things that they do. I mean, I just went in for my, blood panel for inflammation and all those good things. And I'm curious to see what my results come back at. But in regards to sleep, sleep has been something very hard for me because my body was in fight or flight. My nervous system was all over the place during and after the divorce. I tried melatonin.
Yeah, melatonin not a good idea, actually.
No.
Not long term. I mean, if you need like an acute, like I just need to help, like knock me out for a little bit, okay. But, it's essentially you're messing with your hormones.
Correct. You are. And you're messing with your natural production of melatonin in your body, which a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, and one of the amazing things about that, I'll just let everybody know, is very important, is that your body, I often use the word lazy, but it's not. Your body is efficient. So if you take something exogenously, meaning that it comes from outside the body. So it's like I start taking melatonin every day, the body goes, oh, I could conserve resources and I no longer have to produce melatonin. So now you're created a dependency.
Correct.
So now you need this external melatonin just to be at your normative baseline.
Correct.
Because your body has suspended its production. And this is true, this is what happens when guys go on steroids.
Yes, yes.
That they stop their own production.
Yes.
I mean, this is the fear I'm at the age where a lot of guys my age are starting to do the TRT.
Yes.
And my public commitment is to live 100 healthy years.
Right.
So I'm just past halfway mark on that.
Right.
So if I'm going to do TRT, do I want to be on TRT for the next 48 years?
No. No, you don't.
So I'm going to stretch this out as long as I can with everything I can do naturally.
Yes.
At some point, I probably will have to do external hormones, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Women, unfortunately, have to usually start earlier.
Yes.
Because
perimenopause and menopause and all those fun things.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal what happens to women on their hormone disruption. Guys can maybe stretch it out a little bit longer because if they exercise and eat right and do things, they can try to maintain their testosterone levels,
Yes.
you know, well into their 50s and 60s.
Right.
Yeah, I know a lot of 60-year-old jack guys that are
Yep.
not on TRT, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
But most women usually have to start doing some hormonal balancing in their 50s and 60s, it seems, right now.
Yes.
Maybe, you know, using certain types of peptides and other combination therapies.
Can extend it a little bit.
Extend it a little, but, you know, these are the challenges you face, right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, to just jump, I know you were just talking about sleep.
Yeah.
I did talk about a sleep solution. Let's maybe talk about some others. I'd like to give people a...
GABA. What's your opinion on GABA?
Yeah, I mean, precursors, again, still can create dependency. I mean, I think with sleep, sometimes it's about looking at, like, we're talking about stress.
breath
Like,
work and the
what is the
meditation.
underlying reasons for
Right,
that, right?
right.
So if we go straight to a external substance, shall we say, I'm not a fan of creating dependency on substances of any
You think
kind.
it's just putting a Band-Aid over a bigger problem?
Yeah, like what's the underlying reason?
Probably high
right?
levels of cortisol.
Yeah, you know, or stress, you know, so it's off, that comes back to the psycho-spiritual again.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
can put a biological cover,
Yes.
but if there's an underlying psycho-spiritual reason for that, that's what people don't want to deal with anymore.
Right.
So that's, I think, part of why biohacking is so popular, because it's like, oh, if I can hack
Quick
this
fix.
thing with a quick fix and hack my biology, I then don't have to look at my childhood trauma.
Yes.
or-
And dig deep and actually work through it, which takes time and takes energy and it takes, you know, all the things people don't want to put time into.
Yeah, so much easier to just hack.
Yes.
So that's why I'm no longer a fan of it, and that's why I no longer propagate that idea. I mean, I was on TV and magazines and podcasts, you know, talking about and propagating biohacking for a very long time. And I just kind of don't believe in that anymore, because I don't believe those quick fixes are going to get you to 100 healthy years.
Right.
They'll get you through a moment.
Right.
They'll get you through a period of your life where maybe you need to perform. It's kind of like, I mean, I was an athlete, and you mentioned that you were
Yeah,
an athlete.
I was,
so think
yeah.
about when you're an athlete, you're training for competition,
Yeah,
right?
conditioning.
So you'll be like, okay, for the next 6 to 12 months, I'm
Yep.
going to do X and this and this. And so month 1, I do this, and month 2. So it's like you're trying to get to a result within a fixed period of time.
Correct.
All of those hacks are great for that sort of thing, right? Because you're going to cycle this supplement and this training regimen and all of these things for a period of time, and you're going to get a result. That's where all of these hacks work.
Short term.
But if you're saying, I now want to live to 100,
Right.
which is now my focus,
Right.
what does it take to get humans to live to 100 and beyond?
Right.
You look at it very differently
Very
now.
differently. Well, and I think a lot of it has to do too is I think people live for the here and the now.
Yes.
They don't look at the big picture.
Yes.
They don't look at the long, you know, they want it to be a sprint
Yes.
and not a marathon.
And actually,
And that's a problem.
well, PT.II has a good concept for this. He calls it the Centenarian Decathlon. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Because it's like when I go to the gym, because I used to train as an athlete, it's
Yes.
like I went to the gym because I had to compete.
Right.
I'm no longer competing, right? So it's like, why am I going to the gym? Oh, I could just sit on the couch and save that time. No, I'm training to be 100
Yes.
and still up and walking and moving and doing the things I love.
Exactly.
So the reason I go to the gym and, you know, bust my ass
Yes.
in the gym,
Trust me, I'm right there.
is because I'm training for the Centenarian Decathlon. I'm training to be 100 and still up and moving and walking and doing the things that I love. And so when you put that into your mental perspective,
Yes.
then everything shifts. And like I said, the hacks become less interesting, but it's about the long-term sustainable lifestyle.
Yes.
And so then it's not hacks, it becomes habits.
Habits.
It becomes, what habits are you doing every single day? I mean, for me, it's great. I have a younger dog.
Yeah.
And he's happy. He wants to do, you know, a 1 to 2 mile walk
Oh yeah.
twice a day.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And
mine's
so-
3 times a day. Mine's
yeah.
got you beat. I have a 1-year-old golden retriever. And if I don't get him
my
out...
guy's small, so
Okay,
that's a lot. That's a
okay.
long for him. He's like this big.
Oh yeah, if I don't get mine out at least 3 times a day, and it's great for me because it gets me off the couch.
Yeah.
Gets me to step away
and
from the computer.
And he's at the door,
Oh,
like
yeah.
wagging, like let's go for a walk. I get off
Exactly.
your computer, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. You know,
Yes.
so there's a great hack. Get a dog.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
They're going to make you go for those walks.
Yep.
And so those are the things. So the other thing we've learned about that is that our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they were moving 6 to 15 hours a day.
Right, because they were hunting, they were gathering, they were
But
moving.
they weren't like running after a mastodon for 6 hours, right? They would sprint. That's why high intensity interval training works, because that's how our nervous system and body is. We sprint really hard and then we recover, and we work out hard and we recover.
Exactly.
But the movement was small scale movements sustained constantly. So now the research is suggesting that it's all about sort of movement snacks or micro movement breaks, right? So, instead of sitting there on your couch for an hour, every 50 minutes or at your desk or whatever, go do 20 air squats and 10 push-ups.
Right.
So you don't need to go and do 1 hour at the gym every day, although that's still good. You should definitely do, 3 to 5 times a week.
But if someone doesn't have time for that,
but
and a lot of people don't.
Even if you do that, you still need to do the movement snacks. You still need to move your body every hour.
Right.
You still need to go outside. Ideally, like I try to take a break and go out and again get the sun into my eye, get away from my computer, go outside. The thing that I've been doing is something called the steel mace. I don't know if you've ever seen these.
No, what is that?
It's like this, it's like a long tube with a weighted ball on the end, and it really throws your body off of kilter as you use it. So you're constantly
Is that
using
the one you
your
stand
core.
on?
No.
Okay.
No, it's you swing it around. It actually used to be a weapon. But I've been doing a lot of functional movements. I try to do 50 to 100 push-ups every day.
I mean, functional training for me is the foundation of fitness.
Yeah.
I think we've lost the connection to foundational, fundamental training.
Yeah. So the move on sleep, movement, right? Nutrition we covered, that's kind of bio-individual.
Yes.
But let's also talk about the other two things that are often skipped, which is social connection.
And with COVID, that really messed up a lot of us.
We're still suffering
100%. It's a trickle-down effect.
It wasn't just COVID. We were already on that trajectory because of phones.
Yes.
I mean, I did a talk very long time ago. Facebook was still brand new. And I quoted a study where they put people in an MRI and they looked at their brain responding to Facebook. This was like 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
And they said that the same areas were lighting up in the human brain as when people took heroin.
Oh, man.
And this was like 12 years ago.
Wow.
And I quoted that study on stage to an audience, and they were like, oh, you're completely
full of shit.
Yeah, basically. And what was really interesting, about 2 or 3 years after I did that talk, one of the founders or lead investors in Facebook who sold his shares in the company went on like CNN or something and said, yeah, Facebook is like heroin. I won't let my kids use it.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So I was like, hey, I tried to tell you guys.
So they're eating their words. Eating their words.
So, but that's the thing that we were already on that trajectory pre-COVID, that we were becoming disconnected. And then COVID just completely, drove that
flipped
up.
Everybody's
and now
world
people literally are socially non-functional. People don't know how to gather and talk and communicate anymore. And social connection is one of the biggest predictors of your longevity.
It is. Well, and the sad thing is that trickles down into romantic relationships. You know, all these dating apps. It's just it's made people lazy. Let's just say that. Lazy in regards to putting themselves out there, wanting connection, right? Wanting to be able to feel like they're bonding with the opposite sex. And I've even noticed since my divorce in the dating world that there is such a gigantic, I really think it's an epidemic. It's an epidemic of the lack of connection in your social life. Yeah. It really is. And it's very unfortunate.
Well, I forget the exact number, but I think they did studies and there was something like, very high numbers of like 30% of men could not even say they had one friend that they could call upon in case in an emergency.
Wow.
So.
And then that just factors right into mental health.
Yes. So
and then it's a domino
social connection, and again, this comes back actually I think a little bit to spirituality because we used to be connected around that shared values. Like I notice like if you see people who are part of a spiritual community, they don't have that problem.
No, it's true.
Like they're all going to the church, they're meeting people through the church or the synagogue or the mosque, you know, regardless of the religion, they have a community that's built into their belief system. And so as we become increasingly more secular, we're disconnected from that community aspect. And then people become more isolated. And then they fall in the pitfalls of those tribal beliefs on the internet. And so no longer do they identify as a person of faith. They now identify as an advocate for a specific ideology. So, you know, that's the very old saying, you know, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything.
Fall for anything.
You know, and so whatever becomes the thing they fall into, right? And that could be, nowadays, that could be very radical, right? There's a lot of radical tribes online. So, you know, that's is important to your health. Your romantic relationships, your social connection, your sense of spiritual grounded in a belief system that makes you, you know, and it doesn't even have to be spiritual. Like there are people who are completely agnostic, but they just believe in doing good by other humans.
Correct.
And they're moral. But I find, and I'm not sure about this, there's not a lot of data, but my observation is that most people need something more than just being like agnostic or atheist to be able to really be grounded in an ethical and moral framework.
Okay.
So there needs to be some sense of spiritual value beyond self, because if you're only caring about yourself, then what do? You just try to maximize the amount of money you make and what you get from the world.
Right.
And it's all about me.
Right.
And like I said, I meet so many people that's become the default, actually.
No, it has. I've seen that myself in very small ways.
It's become the default. Like if you go and nowadays, if you meet someone who is doing good for others, truly in a way that is selfless, that's rare.
Yeah.
Most everybody is like, what can I get from me?
Yes.
That's the default for our entire society.
Yes.
And people don't realize it didn't, you know, younger people, I'll tell you, it wasn't always like that way.
No, it wasn't.
You know, there was a lot of people that were teachers or doctors or anything, even freaking delivery drivers who had a real sense of being of service to a community or doing God's work, to use the languaging that more religious people would do.
Right.
And that was what was driving them.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting to me because I was raised in a very spiritual household. My dad was, you know, raised in a different religion than my mom. And so the biggest thing for us with me growing up, though, is I was always very much exposed to nonprofit work. I was always very exposed to, you know, helping others. And I also see a lack in that as well. Yeah. I don't see a lot of baby boomers getting their younger youth involved in nonprofit work and giving back. And that was something that was great for me. And as my like core value system was based off giving back and seeing the other sides of life.
I spent about 3 years of my life in my 20s traveling around, and I mentioned yoga and Buddhism. I actually lived in like a Buddhist monastery, and I did what they had like a live work.
That's
deals.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I could live in the monastery and learn from the teachers, and they would give me a small room and a cot, and I would work on like the grounds, and I would build things, and I would do like carpentry and gardening and stuff like that.
Right.
And they would give me room and board, and I would get to learn. Wow. And I traveled around 3 years doing that at like Buddhist monasteries and yoga ashrams and different places where I could just learn different spiritual traditions.
Right.
And that was how, and it was a trade.
Yes.
Like it was just a trade of my time and effort and skills in exchange for that learning and knowledge. And I was grateful for it, you know, because I didn't have any money. I couldn't pay for anything.
No, but that's priceless.
They accepted me to do that. And I felt like I was really, you know, and they talked a lot about this idea of selfless service, and that it was a moral imperative. You know, it wasn't just something that you do because like, oh, I'm going to go do a charity event, you know, once a year.
Right.
It was this idea that part of your responsibility as a human being is if you've achieved anything, even if you've just achieved a body that physically can do these things, you need to go and do these things for others who maybe don't have that opportunity.
Right.
And now it's just like survival of the fittest. If I can step on your face to get where I want to go, I'm totally doing it. And everybody else is cheering them on.
I know. Yeah.
And I mean, it's tough. It's tough to actually try to be an entrepreneur and be caring and moral and ethical.
Yeah.
Because like I said, people are just happy to step on your face and push you aside if it's going to get them ahead.
Well, and that's the biggest thing about my podcast is I genuinely want to help. That's my mission. That was my mission from day one. And I always tell people, if I help one person, whether that be a woman or a man, then I feel like my job is complete.
Right.
You know, and so turning your pain into purpose, that's the motto on this podcast.
Right.
Right. And paying it forward.
Right.
Learning, educating, being informative, but paying it forward and showing people that, like, hey, there are actually people out there that still give a shit.
Yes.
When you think that there aren't, there really are.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I love doing these events, because I feel like, to me, we can do that. And no offense to your podcast, I love podcasts. They're great. I listen to them all the time. It's a great way to get information, but it still doesn't replace in-person human connection.
Of course. No, and I agree with that 100%.
So to me, you know, the goal is to be able to create a community through these tools that we have online.
Yes.
But then don't just leave it online.
Correct.
Like, bring the people together. And so that's, again, why I got into the event space. And that's because I don't even know what's going to happen in the next 10 years with AI.
Right.
They're going to be able to do everything. But I can guarantee you what we're doing at the HealthSpan Summit will still matter in 10 years.
Oh, I believe
because
that.
I get all of these people together in one place at one time, and it's your tribe.
Yeah,
people just tell me again and again and again. It recharges them. It gives them, I talked about that sense of psychological safety to go back into the battle of life. That's what you get.
Yes.
Let's bring everybody together who's like-minded, who has these values. Maybe we don't have a spiritual framework specifically where we're all aligned with a specific ideological bent.
Right.
But we kind of are, because the thing we want to do is we all want to we want to see people healthier.
Yes.
We want to see people happier.
Yes.
We want to follow the science and the evidence of that.
Right.
But we also want to be open-minded and have conversations and argue and discuss different things.
Correct.
And we can all come together and do that in one place at one time.
Yep. No, I love it. I greatly appreciate your time. I think the viewers and the followers are going to take a lot of information from this interview today. So thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And I look forward to being a part of HealthSpan.
Oh, pleasure. Happy to have you. You're in now. I'm
in the family. I'm in the HealthSpan family.
Yes.
So thank you
you
so much.
Thank you.